So once a screenplay is finished,
Mm-hmm.
what does the writer do with it?
Right. Well, I'll argue that a screenplay is never finished.
Okay.
They say it's only finished when you're done editing the movie. That's the only time when something is finished. But if you're an aspiring writer and you finish your screenplay, always give it to as many people as you can to read and get feedback on. Very important. When it gets to the point where the only feedback you get is, "Wow, this is great. I would love to see this movie." Then you can start marketing it. And so there's different ways you can do. I mean, you can try to meet agents, producers, network, go to events, try to query. I talk in the book about the 101 Habits, how query letters is anybody who tells you to do query letters, don't listen to them, because that's not how it works. So it's really word of mouth. It's all about recommendations. So an agent will read your script if it's recommended by somebody they trust. So you have to give it to somebody they trust. So it's really about knowing people, and the more people you meet in Hollywood or LA, the better, because then you can network in that sense. For people who are afraid of that, and who are not social and have a tough time making relationships, I always advise to enter a contest, because that's the easiest way. You just enter a contest, preferably a reputable one like the Nickel or Austin, Sundance. I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's only a few that are reputable. I don't think anybody cares if you won some really minor contest. And I got to say, when I was working in development, we used to read the winners of certain contests because we liked the concept, but the scripts were not good. They were flawed, even though they won the contest. So it's really about the competition of who you're competing against. So enter a reputable contest, and if it's really good, if your script is really good, it will rise to the top. I always believe in cream rising to the top. So rise to the top, and then people will request a script. So it's a good way to have your script read by others if it's really good. So enter as many contests as you can, get feedback, and see what happens. That's the only. Or if you want to do it by yourself, if you want to raise the money by yourself and do Kickstarter campaigns and make your own movie, that's fine too. You can do it, but get feedback first, because there's a lot of writers who, like I said before, are too sensitive to feedback, and so they try to avoid feedback. They try to think that their stuff is really great, and they try to do everything possible to make that movie, and they raise money and whatever, and they finally do it. That's great. And then it fails because it wasn't that good, and audiences don't respond to it, and you just wasted all this time and money and energy. So feedback is paramount.
So would you say that the first time writer, or maybe the first screenplay a writer's written, and maybe they've done several drafts, they've shown it to family and friends, but maybe don't show it to family. Don't show it to family.
Because you will get good feedback.
Oh, really?
Get good family and friends will, because they don't want to hurt your feelings. If something doesn't work, I mean, have you ever told somebody, whether it's an actor or director, about their movie and it sucked? I mean, you didn't tell them it sucked. You told them, it was interesting, or you found some good to say about it because you didn't want to hurt their feelings. It's the same with family and friends. You don't show the script to your mother. Of course, she'll say it's the greatest thing, right? So, try to give it to readers. There's a lot of reading services where you can get somebody to read it for you, and or you can do consultants, or those are more expensive. And then classes too. I mean, UCLA Extension has fantastic writing classes,
yes.
right? And that's a great way to get feedback from professional writers, because everybody who teaches there is a professional. So that's a great way to get feedback, not only from the teacher but from your classmates too.
Right. But then should you advise maybe a first-time screenplay to not be made into a film right away? Because, as you said earlier, it could just, I mean, if it's someone's thing right out the gate, even though they may have had 20
unless it's
drafts.
great. I mean, it happened before where somebody wrote their very first draft of the very first script, and it was shot as is. That happened.
And it was fantastic.
And it was fantastic. I mean, I'm not sure, American Beauty is a good example of this. I'm not sure if I don't think it was Alan Ball's first script, because I think he was doing TV before. But Alan Ball's American Beauty was probably the first or second draft that was shot unchanged, except for just the opening, the bookends, that was different. But it's one of those scripts that you read, it was perfect, and just boom. you know. And I think too, Clint Eastwood too likes to shoot scripts that are just like as is, like they're, you know, if he finds a perfect script and it's there, no need to change it, just do it. I think Gran Torino is an example of that. But anyway, don't quote me on that.